Every week, Matchday nerves. Favourite garms and lucky charms. As a team, side by side in the zone, whistle blown. Adrenaline hits, outrageous assists, record breakers, magic makers. Agony to ecstasy, home and away, showing up together. Football is people. And everyone's welcome in the Premier League.
Alvarez on the edge of the D. Plays it out wide to Grealish. Grealish pops it in towards the run of Haaland. Mahrez controls it, and it's off the underside of the bar.
David Silva's delivery. Manchester City have pulled it off again, and it's the most unlikely of heroes. Gareth Barry to Darius Vassell. There it is. Darius Vassell back at Villa Park for the first time in the Premiership. Gets his 4th goal this season. Petrov to let fly. Everyone knew what was coming. Just wide of the mark from the Bulgarian.
Yeah, I think with the new manager coming in, I think there will be a lot more organised, a lot more structured, and in the same time he likes to attack and he likes to be a little bit open.
I'm not nervous regarding the Villa game. I think the game may mean they sit deeper because we dominate, but in regards to us creating chances and dominating, I'm confident we beat Aston Villa at home.
I think Villa could be tough, but at the same time we've got too much quality in our team to not get 3 points.
A City win against Aston Villa, and the Premier League trophy will be back at the Etihad Stadium for the 4th time in 5 years. At the start of each season, you crave this kind of scenario where your destiny is in your hands, and what you do, how you perform, how well you play will ultimately define the final outcome. Then bursts forward, plays it on towards Ramsey, who crosses the halfway line at pace. He's driving towards the City penalty area. The cross comes in from Luca Digne. It's turned in by Matty Cash, and Aston Villa hit the front. It is the worst thing that City would have wished for. A ball into the box, and Matty Cash with a diving header has headed it into the back of the City net. It is City 0, Aston Villa 1. Glances the ball on towards Coutinho, shooting chance, and Villa lead 2-0. Philippe Coutinho has slotted it into the corner of the City net, and the Blues must score 3 times in 22 minutes. And this, well, already precarious situation has just got a whole lot worse. Jesus on the edge of the penalty area. Jesus out wide to Sterling in the right wing position. Sterling towards the edge of the penalty area, tries to get beyond Luca Digne. The cross is a beauty. Now the City are back in the game. Ilkay Gundogan. Wow, when you need a goal, Ilkay Gundogan seems to provide it. It goes to Zinchenko, wide on the left-hand side. Zinchenko cuts in field, comes again, plays it towards Rodri. Rodri! 2-2! Joao Cancelo, midway inside the Villa half, plays it in the gap to Jesus. It reaches to Bruyne. To Bruyne into the penalty area. And did it! Unbelievable!
It's been 8 months since that incredible game against Aston Villa. Who will bet against us that we go on a similar run this season to win our 5th title in 6 seasons? We'll relive that game with fans and our guests in the studio later on the show. But first, let's get into today's game. City have won their last 12 Premier League home games against Aston Villa, coming from 2-0 down, as you just seen, to win 3-2 and secure the Premier League title on the final day of last season. This will be Man City boss Pep Guardiola's 250th Premier League game as a manager. He's the 29th manager to reach this milestone in the competition, while only 5 managers have more wins than the Spaniard. Indeed, Guardiola has the highest win rate of any permanent manager in the Premier League history. Aston Villa manager Unai Emery has never beaten Man City's Pep Guardiola in 12 previous meetings in all competitions, drawing 4 and losing 8. His first ever Premier League game in charge came against Guardiola's City and a 2-0 defeat with Arsenal at the Emirates in August 2018. What a game we have in store for you today. We'll have the team news that Pep has chosen to go with this afternoon in just a moment, but not before I introduce you to our guests in the studio today, as we're all watching photos of the team come in. Kevin De Bruyne and Phil Foden there making their way through to the dressing room. And there we go, of course, Kyle Walker as well. And the man up against his former team, Jack Grealish, against Aston Villa here at the Etihad Stadium today, where it is a warm Matchday Live welcome to Aston Villa legend Stiliyan Petrov, who joins our 2 former City and Villa players in Gareth Barry and Darius Vassell. Welcome all. It's great to have you in the studio with us today. Stiliyan, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. It's great to be here, especially in this company.
Oh, brilliant, isn't it?
It's really good, and looking forward to the game. I think it will be an exciting game.
And you travelled up with Gareth. Who's in charge of the aux cable? Who has the control of the music?
The conversation was pretty good, so I don't remember one song, being honest. And
just getting out of the house. That's
we had a lot to say.
Yeah, a lot to say. We talked about the football, the game, what to expect, and it was good. No music at all. It was really quiet and relaxing.
So you're all warmed up for today then. Perfect. Darius, last time you were here with us in the studio, you were our lucky charm that last day of the season. We hope we've got a similar performance in us today.
Yeah, certainly. It'd be great if we got the same kind of performance and result. Just looking at those clips there, brought back a lot of memories. Certainly got an opportunity to do it again at a good time as well.
Yeah, and it's been a big weekend for Manchester City. Already our under-18s have beaten Middlesbrough 4-1. The EDS beat Liverpool 3-1. And City women yesterday bounced back in the league, running out as 2-1 winners over Arsenal. Pep's men will be looking for a similar resilient performance today. So here is your team news as we look back to bounce back from that 1-0 defeat at Spurs. So between the sticks, Ederson, a back three of Walker, Darius and Laporte returns. He's only started in 1 game up until today in the 8 following the World Cup break. Rodri, De Bruyne and Gundogan, who wears the armband today. Bernardo, Mahrez, and then Grealish and Haaland. The substitutes, Ortega, Phillips, Ake, Alvarez, Gomez, Akanji, Phil Foden is back, Palmer and Lewis. So let's dissect the team news, and we have 2 of the best central midfielders to ever play in the Premier League with us, so where better to start, Stilly and Gareth. So Rodri, he had a difficult game last week. He'll be looking to bounce back, but he is one of the best in that position in the world. What kind of things do you think Stiliyan will have gone through his mind this week to get back into that top form?
Not much. When you're playing that kind of level, when you have the quality that Rodri have, it's about you want to go back again and show what you can do. I mean, as a midfielder, we play as a midfielders. You take risks. You're always on the ball. You make sure he's the dynamo of Man City. He controls the game. He makes sure that he's on the ball. He plays the ball forward. He pushes the ball forward. And you know that sometimes you can get caught off the position, because that's what you do as a midfielder. You scan all the time. You're on the ball. You receive it deeper. You go to tight the situation. And this is what you try to do as a midfielder. You try to take risk because the team depends on your passes, on your game. But he controls the tempo. He controls controls the play, and this is what he's good at, and that's why he's a big part of Man City's team.
We're just looking at the stats before we came on air. Over 82 passes a game, Gareth. He is just everywhere, isn't he?
Yeah, it's that position you play where you are involved in most of the game. But Rodri, I remember his first game or first 2 or 3 games, ultimately getting judged straight away, and is the Premier League for him? And I remember a game he struggled away at Spurs. He was quite isolated, but from that game on, the games I've seen him play, he's been one of the main men, and you only have to look at the amount of games he's played and the lack of game time for Calvin Phillips of how important he's been. So, yeah, he's certainly one that's missed. You've got so many great players at City at the moment, but I'd say Rodri, if he's not playing, he's up there with someone like De Bruyne that are really a big miss.
And also playing that position, we played together, and I know Gareth used to be the advanced midfielder. My role is to make sure that I fill the gaps. When is a problem, if we lose the ball, if we're on the ball, Gareth needs to be pushed further forward, so you have to find the right pass. But also, when the team lose the balls, is where you are, what you do, and how you protect the team, and he's perfect doing that job.
He's a real glue on the pitch, isn't he? You know, we mentioned obviously the stats with the passes. What else makes him so special, Stiliyan?
It's just the consistency. I think as a midfielder, I don't know if Gareth will agree with that, but the consistency is key. I mean, he hardly loses the ball. He looks after the ball. He maintains the ball in a longer periods of time. He's always in the right position. But he also starts the attacks. He makes sure he finds the right pass. Especially today, seeing the team is very forward-thinking, attacking team. So what he has to do is find the right players in the right areas, and that's what he does best. And when you have a player like that, you can always count that the attack will start in a perfect way, and you can finalise it in the right way.
He's so good at threading the ball through, isn't he, Darius? I'm sure you'd love to be on the end of some of his through balls.
Yeah, certainly. That consistency is everything for a forward. If you've got a player like that who's consistent in the middle of the park, you can build your moves and what you're going to do and have some confidence that what you're planning is going to take place. I think Rodri does give the team that. And I think for a forward player, seeing him in the team playing, you'd get excited and feel like you're going to get opportunities.
One of the other players who we're delighted to see back in the team today, Kevin De Bruyne. Stiliyan, I'm sure you'd have loved to play with him.
I just loved him. I just love him. I mean, he's a complete package as a midfielder. He just finds the right position to receive the ball in the right areas. He affects the game in a final third. He moves the ball the way he wants it, and as soon as he's got those kind of opportunities, he just finishes it. He's just clinical. He's so composed, and he's not scared to shoot. I mean, at the end of my career, I could end up in this position, but having the opportunity to strike the ball, and the way he strikes the ball is perfect. And having a midfielder who scores goals, who assists, and who makes the difference, it's a big plus for Pep Guardiola and Manchester City as a team.
Absolutely. We spoke about this a little bit before, Gareth. As journalists, we love to say, this is how a player performs against a certain team. So Kevin De Bruyne has assisted 5 Premier League goals in 6 appearances against Aston Villa, but he's yet to find the back of the net. How much would that play on his mind? Do you think he'll even consider it as much as we ham it up to be?
If he was a striker, then it'll definitely be bugging him a little bit, saying he wants to get one. But if he's already had 5 assists against Villa, if he was to get an assist today or 2 assists, he'll be job done. I don't think he'll be playing on his mind. He'll be looking to play well, win the game. And as Stan said, De Bruyne, he's a danger anywhere on the pitch. If he's central, if he's out wide, he crosses the ball like a winger. He threads the ball through to Haaland on regular occasions. He is the all-round package.
Do you think, Stiliyan, with Haaland coming into the side, there's a lot of talk about how that might have affected Kevin De Bruyne and then sort of the efforts he's having on goal. What do you think the conversations Pep would have been having with him to say, obviously, find Haaland if you can, but still don't be afraid to take those, shots from outside the box that we absolutely love seeing him take?
I don't think he's scared to take those shots. The game do change because Darius, he can come in on that, because when you're a striker, you know what, with Haaland now, he has to be more patient, and the players have to adjust and adapt to his game. You can see the way Haaland looks for the ball. He tried to find different opportunities in a different way, And sometimes it takes a little bit of time of the players, the midfielders, the wingers, to get used to that player. Does he come short? Does he go long? And what he does, you don't see him touching the ball much, Haaland, but what the players are, especially Kevin De Bruyne, he tried to find the right ball and the perfect area so he can finish it. Sometimes it's more difficult because, you know what, sometimes teams just come and they just sit deep, and you have to find the right solution. That it don't happen sometimes, but as a Kevin De Bruyne, he know how to find that solution for Haaland and for other players on the pitch.
Well, I've mentioned it there. We'll talk about it more a bit later as well, but Darius, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the touches that Haaland is getting is so few. It's practically unheard of for him to be converting so many shots and so many goals from those touches.
Yeah, certainly. And in watching City, certainly this season, I've always felt that they could involve Haaland a little bit more during build-up, maybe at the start of the attacks a little bit. I always look at his movement, obviously, from a striker's point of view. And I think what City do is look to get him at the end of things because of his goal-scoring prowess. But he does miss out on opportunities to get on the ball sometimes. Obviously, we've mentioned with De Bruyne, his composure on the ball. That allows you as a striker to be more patient. Some players, you've got to be close to them because they're going to lose it or they're going to give it away, and you've got to make an angle. Whereas with De Bruyne, Haaland gets the opportunity to be more selective in his runs that he's making. But their combinations and their link-up play this season at times has been excellent, and obviously they'll look to do the same today.
Did you ever get frustrated, Darius, when making runs and you're not getting it sometimes?
Not when you were playing.
Would you stop making the runs when you're like not touching the ball, or would you find yourself coming deeper?
It is frustrating, it's tiring, and what happens is when a chance comes along, you're stiff now and you're tense because you've been frustrated in leading up to that chance, and you might not put that chance away because you're not as calm and as cool and collected on the ball as what you could have been.
Yeah.
And also the way he's built up is typical number 9. A big striker who wants the ball. He wants the ball all the time. And when you don't have that opportunity, it makes it more difficult for you because we don't see a typical number 9 style of play. Rolling people, holding the ball, bringing other people.
Exactly what they want to do. They want to be able to.
And this is what most of the players. That's why I said that Kevin De Bruyne, he has to adapt and adjust to Haaland's game because Haaland, he don't even show a frustration. He don't touch the ball, but he's been very clinical because when you get in the box, that's where he's really, really good because he decides games.
You mentioned that he doesn't show frustration if he's not getting so many touches. We have seen him in those clips show a bit of frustration if either things aren't working out for him, within the box, or if, as we've spoken about pre-match, these teams are becoming more wise to the threat that he has. When he came into the league, there was so much anticipation and so much, what is Haaland going to do? How is he going to perform? Is he going to be the superstar that he was in the Bundesliga? How is he going to adapt? We have seen now these other teams are getting wise to him, able to spend more defensive effort around him. He's getting slightly more frustrated. How do you deal with that frustration? Obviously not showing it so much because that then helps, the defenders around you are going to pay off, and that gives them a bit of motivation if they're seeing you get frustrated. That
is the life of a striker, and the idea is that you use it to be more intense, be more aggressive at the right times. But as I said, if you can get a touch of the ball, get an opportunity to roll a little bit more, it keeps you invested and keeps you in the game, and you'll see that with Haaland. I think there's a lot more to come from him. He's been brilliant this season, but I think there's a lot of things that he wants to do on the pitch that he possibly hasn't had the opportunity to do yet, just because, as I said, City see him as the end of the attack, the end of the build-up play. I think if they involve him a little bit sooner, that frustration will go away. He'll be able to plan more events in the game, and City will pose more of a threat than they currently do.
And also it's about believing what the manager trying to achieve. If we're talking about Haaland finishing with 30 plus goals, will you be frustrated?
Not at the end, no.
Exactly, and it's the process that he believes in, it's the process that he thinks that is going to get him goals, and this is, Haaland it's about goals, it's about, I'm here to score goals, I'm here to be the big players for you. If you get those opportunities from me, I'll decide games.
Absolutely, and obviously worth mentioning that he's still so young, and so you can imagine how keen he is to make an impact on every game, and as you mentioned Pep might do, actually giving him an idea of the bigger picture and how those goals will tally up is definitely important. When we look at the team sheet we've got ahead of us, Gundogan, Darius, you were here, that game, end of last season. What an impact he had.
It was amazing, yeah. I'll never forget that game. To be at the game and have the opportunity to obviously comment on it I'm thankful for. But like I said, as you put the clips on there, it brings it all back. And I remember I was on the balcony. I nearly fell over when he scored the balcony. We was all jumping around. But it was really a lot of fun. Everybody in the room was jumping around. And players like that, I think they're imperative, especially when teams are going through things. Those are the players that tend to drive the direction of coming back from that.
And Gundogan said, it just reminded me of Gareth when he was playing, because I said that I was doing completely different, more deeper job, and he was the one to do box to box. And having a midfielder who can time his runs, who can find space, somebody who can decide games from a different position, not just the striker, but a midfielder who gets in the right position. We've seen exactly what the last season, and that's what he brings. That's what Gareth used to bring for me, and I knew that for the team it was very important. When you have a good balance in the midfielder, and when you have a midfielder who can afford to go forward, to find the right space, the timing of his runs, and to take the opportunity and score goals, decide games in the final third. That's the quality. That's the world-class midfielders that you appreciate in your team.
And I know there's been a lot flying around at the minute about the leadership voices within the dressing room. When he pulls out a performance like he did on the last day of the season, that just cements how much of a strong voice he is within that dressing room.
I mean, winning a title, winning a cup, winning something in your career, it's a great joy, because this is what, as players, that's what we do. We live for that moment. That's why you fight to win something. You have to be consistent. You have to have the right leaders in your team. And you know what, is just satisfaction of what you've done all season, the consistency and the performances you've put.
Someone else who has brilliant stats against Aston Villa, and we're very glad to see him back in the team, is Bernardo Silva. Gareth, your take on him returning today?
Yeah, we were discussing before. He's not had loads of game time this year, but he's so brilliant to watch. The way he controls the ball, you know, like David Silva when I was playing with him. He's got similarities there. He's very small in stature, but you know, any tight area he manages to keep hold of the ball, and his technique is unbelievable. He'll score great goals, and he'll also assist. And you know, just looking at that team today, Haaland will probably be licking his lips, thinking there's service there from 5 or 6 players anywhere on the pitch that should be able to deliver the ball for him. So, you know, I've just got a feeling today with the previous games with Aston Villa, they've been fairly open. Whether they'll change that today coming here, I'm not sure, but it might just be set up and that will suit the players that are out there.
And this is something interesting you've mentioned, Gareth, about leaving space. That's why Pep Guardiola has gone very attacking today. You know what, two creative players and a wing, creative players through the middle. What you're trying to do is just explore place, just space, just make sure that you find the right solution for the team. And he's definitely having with the Silva the opportunity to do that.
Well, we have so much experience on our panel today, and as always we would love to hear from you. Remember to get your questions in on WhatsApp. You can see the number up on your screen right now, and also remember to download the Man City app for access to City Plus and Recast exclusive live commentary. Let's bring you that team news from our opposition today. The Aston Villa team news. In goal, between the sticks, is Martinez. We then have Young, Konsa, Chambers, Luca Dean, Jacob Ramsey, David Luiz, Kamara, Buendia, Bailey and Watkins. So Stiliyan, let's start with you. What do you make of that lineup for Unai Emery's men today?
A few surprises, obviously. Mings not been involved, you know, it's something that it really surprised me. Is it injury, or is maybe a little bit awareness of, you know, the last game? Unai Emery, he's tried to bring something different within Aston Villa. He wants to play a different style, more risky style, which for me, I'm not surprised. Ashley Young coming back on the team, giving a little bit more stability at the back. But through the middle, that's where the battle will be. That's where he tried to maintain he's tried to keep the team really narrow. Everything goes through the middle, so he will concentrate his energy there, and he will make sure that he will give a hard time for Man City to develop their attacks.
How well equipped do you think that Aston Villa team is for the overload that City will put midfield and forward?
Yeah, I'm very surprised. I thought he might have put another midfield body in there for the way Pep sets up. He'll have a lot of body centrally, but you know, Unai Emery, fair play to him. His record's been good since he's joined Villa, and he's stuck to his style. He's sent up a team there that can attack and are capable, if City are on the game, to cause them problems. So, like we were saying, the team's set up for it to be quite open, and you know, Man City are going to have to be wary because there are players there that can be dangerous.
Absolutely. So Villa, they've won 3 on the road. The last time they won 4 was 2009. Stiliyan, you were in that team then. What does it take to go on a run like that away from home, especially when you're coming to stadiums like this?
Quality, characters,
to say the least.
Team bonding. It's about a team performance. It's about, you know, when you go on a run like that, you try to continue as long as you can. Especially in a Premier League, we've played in that league, and we know how difficult it is. We know that every team offers different style, different way of play. So to maintain that kind of unbeaten run, it's really important. But it all takes characters in that team, and you know, Man City have enough characters today to continue and to make sure that, or Villa as well, because both teams have the quality. But you know, having constant Chambers today in the back of Villa defence, this is something that Haaland can explore and make sure that he got enough opportunities.
And we look down the other end, obviously going from Haaland to Watkins. Ollie Watkins, he netted his 30th Premier League goal last time out. It's been more involved in any chances on goal than any other Villa player this season. Darius, it's good to see him back firing again. Do you think that he's got what it takes to break down the defence that City will put up today?
Yeah, I think so. I think if Villa go down the route of where they've got success in the past coming here, it's been on the counter-attack, it's been on the break, it's been catching City off guard, and I think that suits Ollie. I think that he's very good at that first ball that goes forward, at making something, turning nothing into something. And if Villa get their forward players up to support him in time and are clinical enough, then it could cause problems again. And it looks like with the setup from Villa, they're going to look to capitalise on those moments, those odd occasions where they get to break.
Especially some shots there of Ollie Watkins doing his thing this season. We mentioned it, Stiliyan, about Unai Emery and this different thing that he brings to this Aston Villa side. He's won, as you mentioned, his first 3 away Premier League games in charge of Aston Villa. The last manager to win 4 away games with the club was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Manchester United. If things don't particularly go his way today, with that different style of play, we have seen things not particularly go quite well. Like we mentioned, the Leicester game. Do you think he'd be pressured to shake things up a bit, maybe play slightly more defensive?
No. Those kind of manager, with Unai Emery's CV and his success, he played only one style, only one way, and that's why it's important for one manager to pass the same messages, to be consistent with those messages, and to demand the same thing. And I don't believe he will change. We saw that for the Leicester game. He was conceding, he was taking the risk, he was, even come out. Make the mistake for one of the goals. He kept encouraging him to take the ball from the back, to go deeper. So it's about sending those right messages, because the players have to believe in it. And if you start changing a certain game, the players won't believe in those messages anymore. If you would ask Pep Guardiola if he's going to change it, something, he don't. He attacks. That's what he's in. He takes risks. That's why Unai Emery, he needs time to build, to bring his own players that understand how to play that style. It takes time, because the demands from the way he wants to play, the players have to adjust into it. Most of those players have never played that kind of style. It is risky, and you leave a lot of space which you have to defend.
It's more of a test of a character, isn't it, Stan? It's like he'll be forcing the players to keep playing, even though we gave two goals away last week from trying to play out from the back. He believes in it that much. It'll be down to the players today today. We mentioned Rodri after his mistake. It'll be a test of his character to keep doing the things that makes him the player he is. That'll be the same for the midfield at Aston Villa. Kamara's had a great season. It was his first couple of mistakes of the season, really. They led to 2 goals. He's a young player. Can he come here and keep trying to play the way the manager wants him to? So I'm excited to see how players that are on the back of a couple of tough games react today. And it's sometimes tough because it does affect confidence.
Would you prefer that as a player, to have that consistent messaging that doesn't change, even if it doesn't always go to plan or end up going your way in the end?
Yeah, Stan mentioned it. You, as a manager, you need your players to believe in your philosophy. So if one game it suddenly turns away and doesn't go your way, and then you change, you then have doubts in the style of your manager's playing. So Stan is right. They will stick to their gameplay. They will keep playing out, and they've had good results from the moment he's come in. I know today they'll be expecting a tough game, but it's a chance to show on the biggest stage that they can compete.
And then you trust your teammates. When we used to play together, I would, if I play the ball together and if he make mistakes, it's not such thing that I'll think I'm not going to play that ball again. I will do it again because I know you put it right. And when you have the manager who asks for that, gotta know what is demand from him. I know what is demand from me. I have to play that pass to find the right solution. The Villa player have to do that because it's not just this game, it's what he wants to achieve in the long term. And achieving in the long term, you have to stick with the same principles.
Absolutely. So we've mentioned their forwards. We've spoken about Haaland quite a bit. Let's look back at the men leading our line today. Darius, you know what it's like to score on big occasions. Popping up on my Twitter feed, I saw the other day, 15 years since you scored the opener over at Old Trafford against Manchester United in that derby day. This is a really big week for City. We haven't mentioned it yet, but by the end of next week, we could be top of the table on goal difference with a win today and a win in the middle of next week against Arsenal. This has now become a bigger game than maybe we would have pinpointed, especially for our forwards, looking at the league table or looking at the league schedule earlier on in the season. Yeah,
it certainly is. It's mouth-watering, isn't it? I was driving up thinking that, something's going to happen today, getting that feeling something big is going to happen today. And like you said, the build-up of it and what the game is now is bigger than what it potentially was a few weeks back. And as a forward, that icing on the cake, so to speak, is what you look for sometimes. Goals mean a little bit more on days like today or evenings like today. For players like Haaland, if he's going to try even harder to score goals, that can only mean something, negative for Villa. Obviously, he's the best to be doing it right now. If he's putting in extra effort to stick the ball in the back of the net, then happy days for City.
And obviously, Grealish against his former club. Yeah. He didn't get anything from his efforts last time out against Spurs, but he was one of the players that really lit up the pitch for City.
Definitely, and again against his former club, I think he's due, isn't he, for a big performance. I think the last few times that he's played against Aston Villa, he's been on the bench at times and things like that, and it's not probably been how he wants it to play out. But I think today, as I said, with the game being built up to be probably bigger than what it was, again, his eyes is going to light up, as he said. And don't be surprised, I don't know why it happens, but former players tend to score against their former clubs.
It takes a while, doesn't it, as a former player? I don't know your experience, Stan. When you play against your old team, the first couple of appearances are very strange and weird. It's hard to adapt. So I think Jack will be used to playing against Villa now. It would have been tough. It was his hometown club. He'd been there all his life. So the performances from previous will probably be different today. This will just be another game rather than playing against his old club. It'll be a slightly different mindset. So I'm expecting him to keep his good form.
And also former teammates. This was
difficult.
It is difficult. I'll give for example, playing against Gareth when he was at City and then international level as well. You try to prove something. You try to, your performance is becoming to a next level. You try to be better. You try to compete. But this is a natural reaction, and that's what you try to do. He will try to. Maybe you think that I've never noticed that, but
it's easier in training.
That's what you were trying to do, and that's what you tried to prove today. That you went to a different club. You want to show that you're growing as a player. You're developing as a player, and that's what you tried to prove today. You've been given the chance to start and to prove that he can score goals. He can make a difference. In the last couple of months, his performance has really picked up.
So of the 13 games that Aston Villa have fallen behind in, they've only managed to win 1. They've lost 9 of them. How crucial is it for City today, for their confidence as well as battering down Villa's, to get an early goal, Gareth?
I think the first goal in football is always important, but them stats, they're obviously going to go against Aston Villa. They'll be desperate to keep it tight. But yeah, as Darius said, I'm expecting Man City to really come out of the blocks quickly to try and get that first goal. And when you're here and you score first, everyone relaxes and the game just becomes a lot easier. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there's an early goal for Man City today.
We're going to let you two have a bit of a breather, but feel free to jump in if you want. We are going to focus, Stiliyan, on you for the next couple of minutes. Okay. A legend of the Premier League era, 185 appearances, 9 goals, 13 assists, twice Players' Player of the Year and Fans' Player of the Year to add to that. What do those accolades mean to you, particularly the ones given to you by your teammates?
It's really good. It's a team game, but it comes a point in your career, in a season where you appreciate it a little bit more. As a players, sometimes we try to be a little bit of shy and don't talk about individual awards and that. But everybody becomes really proud, especially when you vote from your teammates, because fans, that's what the game is all about the fans. But when you appreciate it with the players, that you share a dressing room, you share stories, problems, challenges, this is the best moment, because then you realize what you really mean, what you've achieved and what you've become, because it's not just about who you are on the pitch, but off the pitch as well. And it's a great moment. It's really a proud moment as well.
So tell us a bit more about your time at Villa, playing alongside Gareth, of course. We might flip the question back onto Gareth in a second, so don't go too harsh on him. But also former City player James Milner as well. What are your memories of playing with him?
Incredible. We had an incredible dressing room, incredible characters, winners. I mean, Gareth was one of them. I remember when I joined Villa, Martin was talking about the wrong project, what's going to happen. I think me and Gareth were talking about going to a different club at that transfer window. I was moving from Celtic to Portsmouth. I think Harry Redknapp was trying to get Gareth as well, and all of a sudden we end up playing together. So for me, when I turned up in the first session, I mean, I was amazed. I knew how good was Gareth as a player, but when I turned up there, I was saying to Martin, I remember saying to Martin upstairs in the canteen, I was saying, my goodness. And he was playing as a left back. So I was impressed when he was playing as a left back. But Martin said that won't take long time. We're rebuilding here. There's going to be a different type of players coming in. And soon he was given that opportunity to go back in the middle again. I loved every minute, because I was playing with the players that I can trust, players that can lead. And sometimes it makes it much easier, because we became a team that was hard to beat. We became a very confident team that can drive forward and try to achieve together, which makes a huge difference.
And he wasn't afraid to get stuck in, was he, Gareth? As we've got some videos of not afraid to get stuck in some tackles.
We play five-a-side now and again, and he's the only person I know still sliding on the 4G. Stan's all-round game was brilliant. He was comfortable on the ball. He can make a tackle, but he understood how to play a game of football, the reading of the game.
And he
could get yellow cards like me too. But yeah, I remember Stan's debut. I don't know if you remember it, Stan. Villa fans say it's one of the best debuts away at West Ham. So a start at a new club is always important. And Stan's career at Villa certainly got off to the best start, and that just builds confidence, doesn't it, going forward, and helps.
And that was my trademark, that's what you've showed there, just kicking people when you're off the ball. But no, listen, for my role, my position in the team has changed when I've joined. And sometimes, I came there with the impression, people had the impression to score goals. But I had somebody better than me, and I was appreciating that. Sometimes you see jealousy, you would see, I was out of the team. I was just enjoying, because when you play with the good players, when you have a good players around you, you enjoy, you try to push them, not just for you to get better, but for them to get better. And had the pleasure we play some special players.
He's telling you done well for my confidence. I'm building myself up here.
I can see why you two live so close to each other.
That's why I had to drive today.
No, but you create special bonds in the team you create. You talk about Rodri and De Bruyne and Silva and Gundogan. Those players understand each other. I believe that a good teammate, a good team, you have to know your teammates, because you go through difficult times, and we managed to do that. Gareth was completely different. He was very quiet. He was leading in a perfect way on and off the pitch, and that was important for us. He was always there for us. And when you come in a new club, he made everybody welcome.
And not many Bulgarian footballers have played in the Premier League, have they? So, but back in 2007, City signed Valery Bozhinov and Martin Petrov. Bozhinov, unfortunately, quite unlucky with injuries during his time here. Did you have any sort of say or influence in persuading them to come over to the Premier League?
No, actually, with Martin Petrov, they always talk about that's the real Petrov, is not me. No, we grew up together. We grew up in Bulgaria together. We are from pretty much one area. We played in the same team. We lived together for a couple of years. We went in a national service together. So our pathway was growing up together was really good. But it's not just Martin. He's another player. He's the opposite. Berbatov as well, who had a great career. But Martin, he was exceptional. He was incredible. His speed, his left foot was so good. Even our national team wasn't good. Martin would make a big difference because with his speed and his urgency, the way he was playing, he was giving us something different, which made us a little bit more competitive in the qualifiers. But having him as a friend, very close friend, growing up together, I've seen his development and what he's achieved, which was great to see.
Well, we spoke about it briefly at the top of the show, but let's now take a look back at that incredible day back in May last year. Let's firstly hear from some of our fans about that Premier League title winning day, and then the match winner himself, İlkay Gündoğan.
So where were you on the last day of last season?
Here. Here.
And what was going through your head when we were 2-0 down?
Actually, you can answer.
Well, I was probably one of the only ones who kept saying we were still going to win it. She was panicking, weren't you? You're both panicking. But then, yeah, I still had a bit of faith.
Nice. So how did you feel when that third goal did go in?
Crazy. Very happy. Couldn't believe it. Do you want to make some comments?
Yes, it was very exciting.
Nice. Where does it rank for you then in terms of City's greatest moments? Was it up there with Aguero, better than Aguero?
Second
to Aguero, yeah.
It was amazing, and because coming back on the last day of the season was like, to be here was fantastic, but I don't think anything will ever beat that kind of first time. That was really special, wasn't it, with Aguero? So
sitting in her granny and granddad's house watching the game.
And what was going through your head at 2-0 down?
I'm going to get abused by everyone I know, my friends and my family. We're going to abuse me for losing the league out to Liverpool at the last minute. That's really bad.
Where does it rank for you in City's greatest moments? Do you think it was better than Aguero's?
I don't think anything will ever live up to that Aguero moment. That Aguero moment's just there, no matter what. Nothing will ever beat that for me in life. It's just the greatest moment I've ever seen to exist. So
second?
Maybe third. Maybe for the night when we got promoted.
Okay.
That would be better for us coming back into the Prem so long ago. Yeah. That helped us build to where we are today.
Remember the Gündoğan goal?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was at my friend's house watching it.
And what was going through your head when we were 2-0 down?
I was like, we're going to lose. And I was dead sad. I was quite angry.
Well, I was at home from Ireland, so it's my first time ever in Manchester, first time to a game, so I was at home watching it. Yeah.
Nice. What was going through your head when we were 2-0 down at the time?
It was a bit scary now. Obviously, it was a quick turnaround for the goals, and 2 from Gündoğan was great, but it was a bit of a scary to watch.
Sorry. How did you feel when Gündoğan scored that third goal?
It was great. It was an unreal feeling. It was good to get 2 in quick succession from him, and it was unreal. It was great.
And where does it rank for you in City's greatest moments? Was it better than Aguero's?
Probably not better than Aguero's now. That was kind of hard to live up to, but it was a great feeling, another league title, but it's kind of hard to beat Aguero's win for the last.
What's your prediction for today?
2-0 City.
Haaland hat-trick, 4-0.
No, 4-2.
4-2.
I'd say 2-0 City.
2-0.
Same, yeah. 2-0.
Nice.
Hopefully 2-0.
2-1. 4-0.
Nice.
I think it's going to be about 3-0. I think they're going to come out, bring out a good, strong team. Yeah, I don't think we'll come out with anything less than a win, really. So.
Nice, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Enjoy the game.
Well, obviously, it was probably not just for me personally, probably for the whole team, one of the biggest games, you know, in our time, maybe here together, maybe of our careers, you know. So doing that turnaround, you know, in just a few minutes, and winning the league title in such a dramatic way. I think it's probably one of the best things that can happen to you, you know, as a football player. So obviously for me personally, you know, with having scored two goals in that game, it was just an amazing day.
Well, it was a really dramatic day that I'm sure a lot of us will remember for a long, long time. We'll start with you, Gareth, on that. You lifted the title and lifted the trophy as part of that 2012 squad. We won't ask which one was better, but particularly which one do you think was more dramatic?
They were so different, really, wasn't they? But before I joined Man City, I was warned that there's a City way to do things. And them two games, pretty much somehow things do. They're never done easily. So I wasn't expected. I remember I was playing a game of cricket or something, and the scores were getting shouted on. I'm thinking, no way have Man City thrown that away at this stage of the season. But then I wasn't surprised when they went on and got the goals to win the title. But yeah, it's magic moments, and just listening to Gundogan there, he's picked his time to score his goals. They're never going to be forgotten about. And suddenly the whole season's forgot, but Gundogan's goals and that game, all the people speak about for the season. But yeah, special moments that you never forget.
Darius, obviously you were here with us Matchday Live that day. You said you nearly fell over dancing around in the stands.
It was just so dramatic because the game was it was really frustrating in the sense that Villa weren't doing much, but they were nicking these goals on the break kind of thing. We was thinking, you know, I think we wasn't in here, we was out on the balcony, we was thinking, what are we going to say? If this game pans out the way it looks like, there's not much to talk about, it's all doom and gloom. And then just slowly and surely, the City boys worked it out, and it really was, I kid you not, it was pandemonium, and we were on it. So today's probably not going to be quite like that, but the build-up towards the end of the season, it's got potential again to be similar.
I just think that it was the same sort of thing. The subs and the subs in the game. We were talking about the Aguero. You've got to be ready as a player to come on and change the game, and that's a sign of class players watching the game happening and thinking, right, if I come on, this is what I need to do to change it. And the subs in where we beat QPR 3-2, they come on and had huge impact, and it was a similar here. The little tweaks and changes, but the players ultimately have to be ready to change it, and they were perfect.
And Stiliyan, you won 4 titles with Celtic. Were any as dramatic, or maybe the ones that you didn't win, were any of them as dramatic?
Yeah, to be honest, it's really good endings here. You know, you win the league. I've lost 2, and really difficult to accept. Once by 1 goal, once by 1 point. When we lost it with the 1 point, literally we were 1 point ahead. 85th minutes, we were leading 1-0. So we win it. You can hear the helicopter bringing the title, and 10 minutes later took away the other way. So it was not as good ending as here, but. You know, Man City has shown over the years that they've got the quality, the ability to change games. They've done some impossible results, and they have the ability to do that in a certain way, different fashion. And it's something that, you know, could happen this season as well. So we'll be interested to see today. We were talking about Man City, you know, the Haaland and what to expect today. But the result yesterday, I think, has given them another opportunity to go and perform, to go and close the gap and make sure by Wednesday maybe you can be top of the league again.
Absolutely. Like you said, Gareth, there is a City way of doing it, isn't there? Next, we have some special guests in attendance at the Etihad today. Last season, as part of the Nexon Ties Away From Home project, we sent lifelong Manchester City fan and content creator Stephen McInerney to all parts of the world to meet some of the most dedicated Manchester City fans. Well, today he is meeting a select few who have made the journey to watch the match here today live, and in one case visit the Etihad for the very first time. He caught up with them pitchside a little early on today.
So we are down here at pitchside courtesy of Nexon Tyre. Last year, Nexon Tyre sent me around the world to meet some wonderful Manchester City fans in all corners of the world. And I met these two wonderful gentlemen. Serkin introduced me to the lovely people over in Seoul, and Paco, alongside Serkin, took me around Austin. It was absolutely wonderful. And now they're here. Serkin, this is your first ever time in Manchester, your first City game. How are you feeling?
I'm so impressed and incredible to be here.
I'm so excited for Serkin, honestly. The energy last year in Seoul was off the chain, and today, of course, it's going to be wonderful for you, mate. Paco, this is your second time, right?
Yeah, it's my second time over, and it's as wonderful as the first.
Yeah. Is it as cold as the first time?
Last time I came was July, a little bit warmer.
No, obviously today is a big game for Manchester City, but you've been Man City fans for a long time now. Serkin, how did you become to be a Manchester City fan?
1920, Aguero.
I mean, that moment changed a lot of people's lives, Iconic, of course. So what about yourself, Paco?
Became a City fan around 2010, 2011. Started watching them at home. Just woke up one early morning and they were on TV.
Simple as that, yeah.
Simple as that. It's the team that was on. Started watching them for a few years, became a supporter, being like, a little bit more casual. And then after C93-20 happened, like Serkin, you just can't come back from that. The highs of that, it's just...
Yeah, there's something about this club is magnetic, isn't it? It really is. But of course, this is a big game today, mate, a huge game. What is your score prediction?
3-0.
Who's scoring the goals?
Erling Haaland.
Hat-trick?
Yeah.
Of course, obviously. What about yourself, Paco?
I have a 3-1.
3-1. I'll go for 3-2. Cheers, guys.
Well, someone there that agrees with you, Stiliyan, and is going for a Haaland hat-trick, if you're standing by what we said pre-match. And you might have noticed on Twitter yesterday that Will Ferrell is over this side of the pond. He was in Wrexham yesterday, saw him in a pub having a couple of pints with some of the Wrexham fans, and he is in the house today. So we're going to have a little bit of a game, guys. We're going to have some fun. We've done all the serious stuff. We can put that behind us now. We have put some of your former teammates into Ron Burgundy disguises as part of one of his all-time best characters in Anchorman. All you have to do is guess who is behind the disguise.
Brad Friedel.
Well done.
Brad Friedel, yeah.
Brad Friedel?
Yeah.
We're going with
That's
Brad
who I
Friedel.
saw.
Have we got the reveal?
Yeah.
You can't mix.
Of course, there you go.
We've seen him too many times, we know.
So, 1 point. Scores on the board. We've got 1 point. On to the next one.
Done, isn't it?
You going Richard Dunn?
No, it's not Richard Dunn.
It's got to be man. Who else is that?
They are very good.
Richard
very good disguises.
I'm going to go with Vassell. I have no idea.
I'll go Foden.
Whoa!
Strange run.
I'm going with Richard Dunn.
We see different things.
Richard Dunn! Darius, great effort.
Where's Foden going from?
On to the next one. I think you two need to start siding with Darius. Who have we got here?
Oh, wow.
They are very good.
That is a good one. Who the hell that?
I can't see that far.
Who is our third Ron Burgundy? He's still playing. That's the clue I can give you.
Yeah. Okay. Silva?
He's here today.
He's playing today?
He's still playing and he's here today, are the clues that I can give you. Not in the squad.
Is he in this room?
Which one of you are going to quickly jump in?
We have to call a pass on this one.
I can't get that one.
Yeah, pass on this one. Who's that?
Scott Carson.
No.
We've played with it.
Can't see it,
No,
yeah.
Can't see it. Can't see it.
Still can't see it.
On to the next one.
That looks familiar. Well, that's to go for that haircut.
Yeah.
Not bad, actually.
Gareth. That's a good one.
Of course, it is Gareth.
That's a good one. Hey.
I think you're playing it off better than me, Stan.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Can you do us a thumbs up?
Yeah, there you go.
Identical.
It's not bad, actually.
Perfect.
Stiliyan. Oh, Stiliyan. Stiliyan.
That's it.
Well, you absolutely smashed that. Well done, guys.
Yeah, we'll take that. 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Tough one in the
We'll
middle
take
there.
that. We'll take the Carson one was very good indeed. Well, there's no one better placed to run us through the City defence than our former captain, Andy Morrison. And he is down pitch side with our very own Ali Man, who'll be running you through the commentary today.
Yeah, welcome to Pitchside, where, as always, I'm delighted to be joined by former City captain Andy Morrison, who's on co-commentary duty today. Andy, you've had a few moments to digest the City lineup. 4 changes, it seems. What do you make of the 11 today?
It certainly looks an attacking shape. You know, we're trying to guess who's going to go centre-half or whether we're going to play a 3. I think it possibly could be a 3 unless Rodri steps into the back 4. But there's a lot of flair in there, you know, and it looks like for me a team that's going with an intent to keep the ball and win the game.
A lot of people have focused on the attack, obviously with Haaland and 1 or 2 other things. Let's have a quick word for the defence, shall we? 21 goals conceded so far this season, 26 in the entire Premier League campaign last year. Has anything changed?
I think, listen, having managed and been in that position, you want a settled back 4. A manager will say, whether it's a back 3, a shape, a 5, a 4, whatever it is, if it's settled and it's familiar. And this season it certainly hasn't been. You know, you look at today, there's 2 defenders, you'd say, whether we're a back 3 or a back 4 from the last game. Akanji and Aki have come out of the team. So the patterns and the way Manchester City play, Ali, everything starts through the centre-halves. And we probe down one side, and the patterns, if it gets shut off, we come back out through our centre-half. So that familiarity, and for me, the best over the last few seasons had actually been able to, the timing of the pass and when to release the ball is John Stones. And that's, for me, he's been the best at it. But we've changed that many times this season that it's hard to get that pattern correct. And I think that's affected not only defensively, but I think also our ability to build up play has not been as fluent as it has been in the past.
Of course, John Stones is still on the injured list, so a key absentee. But I'm just looking at City, maybe here at the Etihad, 1 clean sheet here in the last 6 Premier League games. Have the opponents stopped parking the bus? Has there been a change there?
There's definitely been a change, yeah. And I'm not saying it's a free hit because it's a Premier League and every team has to be accountable and perform on the day. But teams are certainly coming and pressing high and going and asking questions. What that does, it leaves you 3-on-3 at the back. And the amount of times I've seen centre-half in the middle of the pitch with Haaland with 20 yards either side of him because the press is that high. They're going with a 4 or 5 man press. City then have to find a way to miss that press. They go into Haaland and play from there. But teams are certainly squeezing and pressing a lot higher than they've ever done. They're not content to just sit in and let City pick them off.
You mentioned the opponent today, Aston Villa. Just 1 change. I'm guessing an injury to Tyrone Mings. Callum Chambers comes in. Does that affect them a lot?
I think it's like for like. Emery likes to play. I'm not sure. You know, we saw in his early days at Arsenal where they made a lot of mistakes. I'm not sure if that pressure is the same where you have to receive the ball off the keeper, you have to play through the thirds, because if City will have done their work this week, they'll be ready for that, especially with a change. Again, the pattern slightly changes. So an early press from us and a high press, you know, and ask questions of them to see if they're good enough to play out.
Well, of course, with Arsenal dropping points again yesterday, City now know win today, win Wednesday night, they're top of the Premier League. Does that add even greater incentive to this fixture?
Let's not think about the Arsenal game. Let's get Aston Villa out of the way with the way it's been, you know, this season. You know, we're very, very good at home, and we haven't quite had the fluency. And the patterns haven't been the same, you know, and if we can hit running, and the team looks strong today. You know, I love Bernardo Silva and De Bruyne in the same team because of the flair, the ability to keep the ball, and also the killer pass. You know, not so much from Silva, but De Bruyne can find that pass to release Haaland. And I'm excited with the shape, I'm excited with the team, and looking forward to the game.
Positive gut feeling?
Very positive today.
That's the thoughts of Andy Morrison. Myself and Andy will bring you all the commentary. Make sure you download the official City app and you can hear from us from kick-off to full-time. Back to the studio.
Well, we'll be handing over to Ali Man very shortly indeed. The Etihad filling up behind us. The sound absolutely pumping through the studio walls at the minute. Remember, as Ali said, to download City Plus and Recast to hear that exclusive commentary. So some final thoughts from our studio panel. Stiliyan, we will start with you. What do you expect from this game?
I expect Man City to turn up today in style. I expect them to push forward from the first minute. There's opportunity for them to close the gap, and I don't think Pep Guardiola and Man City players will miss that opportunity. So I believe there'll be a couple goals in the game. I don't know which way after, but I believe that they'll turn up today and they'll show that they're in the hunt for that title, and they'll make sure that gap will be less than when the game finishes.
Gareth, you heard Andy speak about it briefly there. Do you think Wednesday will be in their minds and the prospect of going top of the league by the end of the week?
It'll be in their minds slightly, but Pep won't allow them to think too far ahead. Their minds will be making a statement in this game here, going into that game. So I'm expecting Man City to dominate the ball like they normally do, but I think the way Villa play, quite attacking, trying to play football themselves, they might just find a little bit more space than they're used to, which will create a lot of chances for Man City. So I'm expecting to score at least 3 goals today.
Darius, knowing both sides well, do you echo those thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with that. We did have a brief chat about that. I think the game's got the potential to give us a lot of goals, but my prediction, I've already made it anyway, was 3-1, so I'm going to stick to it. I think City win the game 3-1. I do think Villa will or can grab a goal. I've seen it happen before. But I think City, as Stiliyan said, they've gotten a second opportunity now to go and make up ground, and I don't think they're going to miss it.
So, score predictions then?
3-1.
3-1.
3-0, I'll go.
No comment.
Oh, Stiliyan, you were so confident. Free us.
I'll go 4-1 Manchester City. I don't think they'll miss the opportunity to close that gap. And today you can see that, you can feel that attacking force will produce goals. So I'll go 4-1.
Do you want to pin your colours to the mast with any certain hat-tricks from any players?
I'll go Haaland hat-trick then. A big statement.
I've made you stick to your words with that one.
I'll tell you what, the big man always produces, so why not? Why not?
Well, we will be back here at half-time, but for now we're going to hand you over to our commentary team of Andy Morrison and Ali Mann.
It was the fixture which typified everything that this club is all about. As City overcame today's opponents, Aston Villa, in thrilling fashion to clinch their 4th title in 5 years.